few. So last month, I left you with this, that we would dig into these ideas. I can't change my genes, and my past is my future. Whatever happened to me is going to happen to me again. So no matter what I do, I'll be the same person regardless of what I try to do. I left you with that for those of you that were a part of that Zoom last time we met. Let's touch on this one. So for the next 30-ish minutes, I want to dig into how to build a champion's mindset, not an average mindset. So I'm going to give you some ideas, I think more importantly some techniques that you can literally walk out of this room today with and say, I can do that. How old are you, just out of curiosity? Yep. 11? You could be 11 and apply some of these ideas. How old are you?
Me?
Yep. 11 as well? Noah, how old are you? 12? Doesn't matter. So all of us that are here at this time should be between the ages of 11 and 14. I'm going to give you actual things you can do that you don't have to be an adult to do to build that champion's mindset. With that said, and all I'm needing is about 30 minutes. So let's start here. I'm going to share with you a brief story about a friend I had. I was 11 years old, just like these two. And my friend was dealing with some challenging times. His parents had just got divorced. His dad was an alcoholic. And he was a very quiet individual. If he was sitting in this room, guarantee you he'd be in that corner, maybe in the back, or maybe on this side. He would always put himself on the edge and on the outside so he can see what's happening on the inside. That was just what he thought, but I can remember being 11 years old, and he was telling me some of these things that were happening, and he thought, no matter what I'm going to do in my life, I can't change it, so why even try? So let's dig into this mindset thing. And what do champions have from a mindset standpoint? First thing I think of when I see this picture, it's lonely. If you want to be the best at whatever you do, whether it's soccer, whether it's art, whether it's science, it's going to be a lonely place to be. That doesn't mean you don't have family and friends. What it means is you're not a part of the norm. You're not a part of the average that so much of what you listen to and watch has you be a part of. Don't miss out on this, buy this. Don't be the only one not to have it. Be a part of the group. We're not talking about how to be average. We're talking about what are some of the techniques that you can do again today, that you can do for the rest of your life to not just be average. Anybody know who this guy is? Yep.
He looks like either a basketball player or a soccer player.
Ooh, basketball player, soccer player, that would be wrong and wrong. Maybe we know him better in this space. He's that fast guy. He's that fast guy, so he's a sprinter. Here's something I found interesting, that he had a quote after he trained for the Olympics. By the way, Olympics are coming up next year. Where are they? Paris? Yeah. How often are the Olympics? Every 4 years. He had this to say, I trained for 4 years to run 9 seconds. Think about that. His race in the Olympics is 9 seconds long. Right? He trained 4 years for that one moment. And people give up when they don't see results in 2 months. Think about that when you're 11 years old and you're just like, oh, it takes so long to get better at math or science or soccer. Oh, coach said I still have to work on that. I'm going to quit, dip out. But think about that for a second. That's coming from a professional. So just be mindful of that concept. Something that stuck with me is be patiently impatient. Let me repeat that. Be patiently impatient. Something like, number one, what the heck does that mean? Number two, those two words contradict each other, meaning they're opposites. But here's what I mean by be patiently impatient. Be impatient today to get started. Too many players and people say, oh, I'll start tomorrow, or I'll start that next week. I'll start that next year. I'll wait till January 1st. Somehow that becomes a magical date in so many people, right? So be impatient to say, do it today. Do it now, but be patient for the result. Usain Bolt was not born to run 9 seconds. He did not train the week before the Olympics to run as fast as he could. It took him 4 years to get to that point, right? And did he just run in one Olympics or multiple? Multiple. So now you're talking about 8 years to sustain 2 Olympics, right? Be patiently impatient. Start today, but give yourself time. Give yourself time to develop. Imagine this. If you had $86,400 in your savings account and a random person stole $10 from your savings account, would you be upset and throw all the remaining $86,390 away in hopes of getting back at that one person? Or would you move on? I would hope we would move on. Did you know we all have 86,400 seconds in your day? So don't let one person that takes away 10 seconds of it, giving you a rude comment, don't throw the other 86,390 seconds you have left. Don't just throw them out the window. Anybody relate to that one? Someone maybe that you didn't even know made a comment about you. You're just like, oh, how dare they? And you just had a bad day, right? Be mindful. That's a lot of time to just throw away for someone who made a bad comment, especially if it's someone you don't really know that well, right? Where does that maybe happen a lot? I don't know how many of you are or aren't involved in that social media world. It's an interesting place and a very dangerous one if you allow that to suck up your time. Here's what I'll leave you with on this one. Don't let those that don't mean that much, right? Don't let those, if you don't even know the person and they're trying to wreck your day, don't let someone who you don't even know be more important than who they really are. Are you with me? The things that get you to the top will not be the same things that will keep you there. The things that got you to the top won't be the same things to keep you there. Who's confident that they're really good in a subject or something? How about just something in general? In the back? What are you good at? Huh? Math? Were you always that way, do you feel like? Okay. And now the challenge for you then, if you've been able to sustain that, that doesn't guarantee you anything for the future. Right? It's like getting an A in a class. What does that guarantee you for next year? Nothing. It means you're in a good spot, you're a good starting spot, but now your challenge becomes, can you sustain that year after year after year? Right? So be mindful, you have to retool yourself. Yep.
What I'm good at is I'm good at
Writing? Do you feel like you've always been good at writing, or has it kind of come along over the last year or two? It's come along? So it's been a process for you, and you've had it. Two different stories, two different experiences. Point being, we all have our own unique one, but just know this. What gets you to the top, if you're the best in your class, it's not always going to be the same things that'll keep you there when you get into high school. Or when you get into high school and you're at the top of your class, congratulations, where are you moving on to, whether it's college or a profession. Retool yourself. A lot of people get scared of this one. Good news for all of you. Good news for all of you, it happens naturally as well. Think about the things that you needed when you were 8. It's a little bit different than when you're 11. The things that you needed to really compete at the highest level in soccer at age 14 is going to be different at 17. Why? The game gets faster, it doesn't get slower, right? The things that get you to the top are not the things that are going to keep you at the top. Again, we're talking about creating what? An average mindset? A champion's mindset, the best of the best. So this is not specific to players as soccer players. That's why we're here with this soccer club. But that applies to anything you kids do. Here's a dangerous one. Turning verbs into nouns. Don't turn verbs into nouns. What do I mean by that? What is a verb? Let's make sure we're all on the same page there.
A word that makes, like, running is a verb.
It's something you do. What is a noun? It's a subject. It's a person, place, or thing. Do not turn your verbs into nouns. What does that mean? When you lose, you are not a loser. When you win, that does not make me a winner, that I'm better than you now. That's a dangerous, slippery slope that a lot of people go down, and they identify with the result. They identify with what happened, and now that defines me. Be careful of that. To have a champion's mindset, make sure you keep that result exactly where it's at. Your team loses 5 games in a row, starts the season 0-5. Any one of you ever been there? Start 0-3, 0-4, it's going to happen. Bad news for you, it might happen again. Just remember that does not make you a loser because your team lost. Be able to, and I'll use this description, be brave enough, because society might tell you differently, be brave enough to separate from that result. 2 F words, the best learn to embrace. Don't worry, parents, this is a PG conversation. 2 F words. First one is failure. We've brought up that word, I think, a couple times. Failure is not a problem. What becomes a problem is how you deal with failure, because if you don't deal with it, you'll fail again. The best players in any aspect, in any sport, in any facet of life, they learn to embrace it, and they don't look at it as that's going to define me. That's simply a new starting point to say that didn't work. We lost 2-1. What do we need to change a little bit differently that we have control over to try to flip that result? You lose again, you make tweaks again. But they embrace that, and they look at it more as a learning opportunity versus I need to stop right where I'm at right now because we're 0-2. And that's not a fun place to be. It's so easy to be that good teammate, isn't it, when your team's 5-0, you just won the last game 3-0 and had a hat trick. It's easy to be a good teammate then. It's harder to be that good teammate when your team's going through a little adversity. You started 0-5 instead of 5-0. Can you be that same good teammate? Embrace those opportunities as learning opportunities. The other F word, failing. I'm sorry, not failing, but fear. What is fear? You're scared or you're afraid. Anybody else have an idea of how would you describe fear? Sorry? Scared to do something? Is fear something that's on the inside of you or outside of you? Inside. Something on the inside. It's made up. The best players or the best professionals in any working space, they don't look at fear as something they can control, so they don't pay much attention to it. That paralyzes a lot of people, and it keeps them from doing things. I can't go be that because I don't have any experience. Overrated. Start doing things. But that fear is made up. Just remember that. It's made up, and each one of you have control to let it overwhelm you or not overwhelm you. That's a decision. But 2 F words that they learn to embrace, failure and fear. Let's make this soccer specific. Who's confident in saying, I know I have a good trait, whatever that trait is, on your soccer team? Make it soccer specific. Who says, no shame. I'm confident that I'm good at this.
I can run back and get the ball.
So your ability to recover and work to win the ball, love that one. Anybody else have any standout qualities? You're just like, I know I do this well, and that's a good thing. You're a goalie. So what are you good at as a goalie, out of curiosity? Well, other players might be goalies. What are you good at? What are you good at? At diving, making saves. It's a good quality to have as a keeper.
What I'm good at, soccer related, is that I feel like I'm really good at more like
Being aggressive. There's a good trait to have. Last one. Sorry? Trusting in your team. That's a very good quality to have. I show this hammer because a lot of players will grow up with one tool in their tool belt, figuratively speaking, not literally. But they have one really good skill and that's all they got. Here's my challenge to all of you, because we're talking about creating what kind of a mindset? Have a lot of tools in your tool belt, meaning don't get rid of that ability to trust your teammates. How do you build and add on to that? You said you were really good at recovering. How can you not get rid of that quality but build and add to that quality? You said you were good at being aggressive. Don't lose that quality of being aggressive, but add to that to your tool belt. Not every problem in life has to be solved with being more aggressive. Some problems do, some challenges do, but not every one. And I think there's a lot of players that overlook and just spend all their time on what they're really good at today, and they forget about the things that they need for tomorrow. Goes back to that idea. What got you to the top will not be the same things that will keep you at the top. This is a big note for all of us. Have, do, and be. There's a lot of players, and not just players, but a lot of people that wait to have something, and then they'll do something, and that'll allow them to be something. That is a backwards progression, whether you're talking about soccer or you're talking about going into college or a profession. Here's what it should be. I said be patiently impatient. The impatient part is what? Start when? Now. Stop waiting to get all this experience thinking you'll be ready then. Start doing, then you'll start being, then you'll start having. Give an example. I'm here today. I can promise you I did not go to college to be a public speaker by any stretch of the imagination. I started doing it, then I started creating opportunities, and now we're here. Give you another example. A lot of poor kids coming out of Brazil. Who's a popular one that's a Brazilian? Messi's Argentinian. Neymar's a popular one. Neymar did not. Neymar did not grow up in a family making millions and have a field in his backyard. And I'm saying if you have that, awesome. But I'm saying you don't need that before you can try to do something. He played on the streets and he played in his own environment. He started doing, he started being, and now he's able to have those opportunities. Too many people just wait, I'm not ready yet. Be careful of that one, and that starts here. That comes back to that fear that the best handle really well. They embrace it and they channel it to say, yeah, I'm afraid of that, but that's not going to stop me from doing this. Who's that guy? LeBron James. Question. Anybody know out of curiosity, pop quiz. Anybody know what team he has partial ownership for? What soccer team does LeBron James owe a chunk of? Anybody know that one? LeBron James, give you a clue. They have red and white. It is not Arsenal. Liverpool. I'm going to bump out of this presentation for just a second because there's about a 1-minute video that I'd like to share with you boys and girls.
But I am going to ask
Up.
35-year-old LeBron.
Listen up.
A little bit of gray in that beard, right? Maybe a little bit less up top. To 27-year-old LeBron that got that first one.
Quiet, please.
What's better about LeBron James' 35-year-old game and mind than the young man that won his first?
35-year-old LeBron would tell 27-year-old that you don't even know your game. You haven't even scratched the surface. You have no idea what you're capable of. So I think if you line 35-year-old LeBron up with 27-year-old LeBron, he'll dominate him. Just from a mental side. He'll dominate himself from 8 years ago.
Let me give you a little bit of this.
You got no chance. You got no chance. All that super athleticism.
So I think just an interesting video coming off the back of them winning the championship back and when it was in the bubble, right? And COVID was a thing at that point in time. That was the question. Could you guys hear that in the back out of curiosity? Not really. So the question that he was posed from the reporter was, what's the biggest difference between the 27-year-old LeBron James that won his first championship to the 35-year-old LeBron James that just won the championship 8 years later? For those of us in front, what did he say? Good. Who heard that one? What was the big difference? Yep.
Just because you're young and you have a bunch of talent and fitness, like ability, doesn't make you the best player.
Okay. He alluded to something specific that we're kind of leaning into today. What do you say was the biggest difference between that 35-year-old and 27-year-old?
You would beat him, the 24-year-old,
Mentally. He said he's in such a different place as a 35-year-old player versus 27. I know we're talking about 11, 12, 13, 14-year-olds in here. So my point is this. What got you to the top won't keep you there. He has to evolve his game. And we're talking about arguably one of the best basketball players of all time. Are we not? Second picture I put in here purposely, and that's him laying down. Did you know his secret sauce to help him, his little pixie dust, so to speak, his not shortcut, but thing that he's deliberate with is rest. He said he will not sacrifice his sleep to get places. Think about how often people will sacrifice, I pulled an all-nighter. I only got 2 hours because I had to get this done. To be at the highest level, that is one thing he will not sacrifice, period. And I think a lot of people, especially a lot of youth athletes, see that as a weak thing I don't need to sleep that much. I'm good. Again, we're not talking about be average. If you want to be above average, don't sacrifice that for other things. So just something I wanted to share with you boys and girls about LeBron and sleep. Let me ask you this question from a soccer perspective. Is being over 35 years old considered out of your prime?
Yes.
Would you say? We have a no, we have yes. Sometimes. Depends. Let's keep on this recovery piece. We just talked about a little bit of sleep. Who's that guy? That's Cristiano Ronaldo. And, Eisner's here. Eisner's here. I'm more of a Messi fan personally. I respect the heck out of him for this reason. Anybody know where he's going, by the way? Anybody know where he's going? Out of curiosity, huh? The what? Hey, boys. He's going a little bit louder. You're right. What is that? Yep.
It's this really cool room that he uses to relax his muscles on his rest days.
On what days?
On his 2 rest days.
On his rest days, he's doing that. Here's the takeaway that you can apply if you choose. People that are the best, they will do what most people won't do today, so tomorrow they can do what most people can't do. Let me repeat that. The best of the best will do what they need to today, so they can do things that most people can't tomorrow. Why is he still able to play at 38, 39, 40 years old? A lot of it has to do with recovery. Take care of your bodies. Make sure you're getting that sleep, and that's not a weak thing to do. That's not an average thing to do. That's what the best do. Those consistently competing at the highest level figured out a very important concept. You ready for this one? Doing the things you don't want to do when you don't feel like doing it is how you achieve things you never have. Read that again. Doing things you don't want to do. Think about how easy it is to put in some time, some extra practice when things are going well with your team. Reverse that, flip it on its head. Your team's on a 7-game losing streak. Are you still putting in the work? That's what's going to separate you in any facet you choose to go into, whether it's continuing down the soccer path or going into any other one. Doing the monotonous stuff, you're just like, I really don't want to do that. Doing the things you don't want to do, here's a really hard one. I don't feel like it. That's fine. Just don't expect to get to the top of what you're doing. Because to get to the top, that's what they embrace, is that uncomfortable, I don't like doing it, I don't feel like doing it, but I'll get there. I think a lot of us on the outside look at a Messi, look at Cristiano, look at a LeBron James, look at anybody at the top of their game, and we just think, God, how easy is that? Gosh, it'd be such a nice lifestyle. Because we don't see what happens on the back end of going into a cold chamber on your day off. We don't see that stuff. How about this one? A lot of people will wait. We talked about being patiently impatient. A lot of people will wait for things to just get a little bit easier. I need to get through this test, and then I'll start my extra training. I just need to get through this week, and then I'll start doing that. I need to get through this month, and then I'll start next month. Well, if you're always going to wait for that easy train, you're going to wait a long, long time. It's not about making things easier. It's about you embracing the hard things better. Be mindful of that one, but it goes back to be patiently impatient. Start today. Stop making excuses that you'll start tomorrow. Be mindful of this one. Doing things you don't want to do when you don't feel like doing it. Still on the mindset piece. Who's that? Anybody think she choked in the World Cup? You think so? Yeah? Why? That was a confident yes. She missed a penalty. Yeah? The word responsibility. Let me ask you this question, because you said yes very confident. What's your name? Jesus. Do you think she took responsibility to take that PK, or did she shove it off onto somebody else? She took the responsibility to kick it. How many of us were in here in April? We talked about, our very first thing we talked about was taking a penalty, didn't we? Before this even happened. And I posed that situation to you. How many of you would be willing to take a penalty kick in the 89th minute for your team? Hands went up, and you can put your hands down. And then I made it a little bit harder, didn't I? I said, what about with all of your friends and family watching? And a lot of hands went down. You can keep them down, that's fine. And then I said, let's up it even one more. Friends and family are watching, and you're in the final to win the game. How many of us would kick it? Woo! That was a lot of hands that came up after. Here's my point. Here's my point. What I loved about Sophia Smith, and I think about that word responsibility, give it whatever definition you want, but think of it also this way. It's your ability to respond to something. I personally respect the heck out of her because she stepped up to take that fifth penalty kick. Could she have won it for her team? 100%. That's the risk she took, right? What I like even better is the message she sent and shared via social media afterwards. She said, heartbroken. This World Cup was filled with just about every emotion possible, and what I've learned is more valuable than any experience I've ever had. What an interesting perspective for someone who choked or failed in her moment to help her team win the game. And she's not letting that define her as a failure. It's, I'm going to pick myself back up and I'm going to move on. Your ability to respond. Self-belief, resilience, adversity, confidence. Anybody think that these are good traits to have as a soccer player? Raise of hands. Yeah? Agree with you. What do all, hands down. What do all of those have in common? Every one of those 4 traits, what do they all have in common? Yep. Oh, stretching. What do those 4 words have in common? We're talking about having a champion's mindset, building a champion's mindset. Anybody have any thoughts? What do those 4 words have in common? In common, they have you overcoming something. So here's my point. If you want to have any of these traits, you need setbacks. You need problems. So many people look at those problems and, again, identify with the verb, oh, I failed at something, so I'm going to quit. I failed at something, so I'm a failure. You turn that verb into a noun. Be careful of that. Be mindful of that, because you need setbacks to be able to be resilient. Think about it. What does resilient mean? You say, yeah, that's important to have as a soccer player. Well, what does it mean? Yep. Bounce back for something. You get knocked down once, get up again. You get knocked down 5 times, get up 6 times. Confidence. Where does confidence come from? It's a cool word to have. It's a cool trait to have. Where does it come from? You born with it, not born with it? Highly doubt it. Where does confidence come from? Yep. Your mind? So just magically just snap the fingers, one day it comes, one day it goes? Why would you convince yourself that you could do it? Because what is it about telling yourself that you can that gives you confidence? Just telling yourself and hoping?
Telling yourself and knowing that if you don't do it, then like maybe somebody else will make it, but then you can't.
Okay.
Confidence comes from like I can do this, I can do it.
So it's self-talk. Nobody's telling you, you're telling yourself that. I like it. Any other ways to build confidence?
Are also an important factor.
What's that?
I feel like teammates are also important.
Teammates can help in that. They can help tear it down too, can't they? But they can also help build you up. Yeah. I would also say another way to build confidence, you just do something so often, you're just like, I got this. Think about some of the traits that you do really well, whether it's passing, shooting, dribbling, defending, whatever it is. You've probably built that confidence because you've done it over and over again. You're just like, okay, I know what to do. I know how to do it. I know when to apply it. Here I go. Yeah. Just remember, you need setbacks to develop these characteristics. Don't shy away from those pieces. Inconsistent performance does not mean you're not trying your best. Let me read that again. Inconsistent performance. What does inconsistent mean? It's not happening over and over, right? It doesn't mean you're not trying your best. It often means you're doing your best in the face of turbulence. We are people with people problems. You are not a machine. This is reality. I think so many of us say, yeah, I want to get to a professional soccer player or whatever profession you aspire to have, and you think it's linear. Linear meaning it's a straight line going up, 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 up. I had a good day. I'm going to have a good day tomorrow, guaranteed. It doesn't guarantee you anything. Just be mindful that your best may look like that. Let's go to Messi for a second. Anybody know what the most goals he's scored in a single season is? 91. Do you know what year that was? 2012. So if his max is 91 in 2012, he's never scored that many again. Does that mean these last 11 years have stunk? Right? Your best is going to fluctuate. The best of the best, their best fluctuates. Usain Bolt, he does not always hit another world record every time he runs, does he? But just because he didn't beat his last record doesn't mean he quit either, right? You are going to be inconsistent. Embrace it. Stop worrying so much about it wasn't as good as this one. Plays that work. I'm going to give you 3 things that will work from this day forward if you choose to let it. First one of those 3 is gratitude. It's like, well, that's simple. What do you mean about gratitude? I'm saying here's the society thing again. It's the fear of missing out, the fear of not being the only one to have something. Be more grateful for what you have versus comparing yourself about what you don't have. It's so easy to get caught up in that race. Oh, but I don't have this. But my friend has that. But they get this opportunity and I don't. And you start focusing on the things you don't have and you forget about the things you do have. Here, I've been blessed to have the opportunity to have traveled internationally to a few different countries. Boys, eyes and ears here, please. I had the opportunity to play professionally in Brazil. Anybody think that's a pretty cool opportunity to play professional abroad? Hands down, thank you. I can tell you that's a very lonely place to be too. So it depends what you're grateful for or not grateful for, but I can tell you right now, I didn't have a family member with me. I was playing in Brazil, I didn't know the language. I had 3 roommates that that did not know a lick of English, and now I'm bunking with these guys. I've never met them in my life. I'm playing professionally in Brazil in another country. So many people might dream of that opportunity, but what's the flip side of that? What are you giving up? And I say that, paint you another picture, or a little bit more of a picture. My pillow was a couch cushion. We had ants in the apartment. Anybody barbecue and have one of those propane tanks on a grill? We had that for our stove. Anybody have a nice big fridge at home full of food? We had one of those mini fridges for the 4 of us. Like that was our situation. But I don't look at what I wasn't looking at what I didn't have. It gave me perspective to say, dang, for where I came from, I really had it good, right? So just know there's always a trade-off, but plays that work, and that will work for you from this day forward. If you choose, be grateful for what you have. Here's my last thing on this one. I would challenge each and every one of you, every morning or every night before you go to bed, write 3 things that you're grateful for, because it will put you in a different mindset in terms of looking at this world. First thing you do when you wake up, before you look at a phone, go eat breakfast, whatever it is you do, I would challenge you, make that your routine. 3 things that you're grateful for when you wake up or right before you go to bed. Number 2, your attitude. Gratitude and attitude. What do I mean by that? Voices affect choices. The people you surround yourself are going to affect your attitude. Who you choose to listen to is going to affect your attitude, as is your perspective. Let me ask you guys this question. Is this world a mean place? Hands up if you think it's a mean place. Hands down, I'll ask a different question. Hands down, please. How many of us think it's a nice place? Interesting, based on perspective. And that perspective is going to shape your attitude and how you look at things. If you think this world is a negative place, you continue to search for those things and say, oh, that happened bad, told you. That happened bad, If you focus on, it will expand. The opposite is true as well, good news. If you think this world is a nice place and you're looking for those opportunities, you will find them. Your attitude, who chooses that? You. Your friends and family may influence it, but you choose it every single day you wake up. My point goes back to that responsibility word. Are you able to respond to something negatively and put a positive spin on it? Plays that work. Last but not least, don't give your negative thoughts a voice. That's a very dangerous one. We talked about self-talk. For those of you that joined us in April, it was our self-talk that was the driving topic for that session. Don't give your negative thoughts a voice. We all have them. You miss a shot in the game. Oh my God, I can't believe what I just did. I'm so stupid. I'm so bad. I've just verbalized it. So rule number 3, do not give them a voice. It's going to happen naturally when you mess up to think those things. Do not say it out loud. Those are plays that will work for you whether you're 11 years old, 17 years old, 27 years old, in your 40s and 50s. I promise you. Last few. Did you know a couple of the biggest influences of where you are today and where you will end up? Any thoughts, any guesses? Just a couple things I have. What do you think is going to be a big influence? Attitude is going to be one of them. but it's not going to be here. We just covered that, so I didn't make it that easy for you kids. One of them, who and what you listen to, who you choose to surround yourself with. That's a hard decision as you kids get older and you get in your social groups and some of your good friends are making fun of you. That's hard, but just remember you have that choice to either keep sticking around them or not. Take that responsibility, because who you choose to hang around and what they choose to talk about and what you listen to, that's going to affect where you end up. Second thing, what you read or choose not to read. Be mindful of that one. What do you choose to read or choose not to read? And you could probably even put watching in that too. What do you choose to take time to watch or not watch? Anybody like to read like sci-fi, fantasy, that type of book? Yeah? I can't relate to that one. I like reading, but I can't relate to those topics. How about anybody like reading just about something factual? To say like, I want to read how that person got to where they got, or this, yeah? I relate to you kids a little bit more. Point being, be mindful of what you choose to digest, whether that's in reading form or watching form. That will dictate, and that will be a big influencer on where you end up and where you are at this current moment in time. That is true whether you're 13 today, whether you're 23 or 33. That does not go away. What are we talking about today? Developing what? A champion's mindset. Champions will win year after year consistently. Consistently. So something to be mindful of. How do you win this year and the years to come, the years moving forward? Here's something that will not change. Here's the secret ingredient to unlock this magic one. To win your year, break the year up in 3-month blocks. How many quarters would that give you? If a 3-month window represented 1 quarter, how many quarters is the year? 4. So if you want to win this year, whether that's the rest of this year or just fast forward to 2024, if you want to win the year, you got to win your 4 quarters. To win your 4 quarters, you got to win your month. Now you start breaking this down. You've zoomed out to say, I want to win in 2024 and get here, and I've never been there before. Great goal. Awesome. How are you going to get there? Win those next 3 months. How are you going to win those next 3 months? You win this month, 1 month at a time. How do you win that month? You win this week. How do you win this week? You got to win this day. How do you make this day your best day? You got to win your morning. But how do you win your morning? You got to win the night. What's your nighttime routine, or do you just sacrifice that and think you're going to have a good day tomorrow on 3 hours rest? So if you want to win your year, win your quarter. If you want to win that quarter, that 3-month window, you got to win each month one at a time. If you want to win that first month, you got to win each week. If you want to win that week, you got to win each day. If you want to win each day, you got to win your morning. But to make your morning a good morning, you got to what? Have a good night. And now you got real small, real quick, starting tonight. That's your kids' challenge as well. When are you going to start? A lot of adults will start January 1st. They'll just waste the next 4 months and say, I'll do that in 2024, but I'll waste these next 4 months. Challenge to you, can you start today? On Thursday, start tonight with a new routine, if you need a new routine, and then win your day starting tomorrow morning. Win that day, turn that day into a week, turn that week into a month, turn that month into a quarter, you turn those 4 quarters into a year. I'll leave you with this. Don't forget this one. Be ready and mindful. This is your last one. Eyes and ears here, please. Jesus. A lot of people forget this one. A lot of people will push blame. Well, my teacher doesn't like me, so I got a bad grade. I'm around bad friends, so my choices are bad. You have a choice about who your friends are. Point being with this photo, take responsibility, look in the mirror. Too many people will give other people and other things too much power by pushing blame on it. Make sure you take the responsibility and your ability to respond to be able to accept where it is you're at and where it is that you want to go. I started with that story, right? That story of that friend that I had when I was 11 years old. Anybody remember a couple of the hard things that he was going through? Parents got a divorce. He was a very quiet kid. He would always be in the back, not wanting to be called on.
Dad was on drugs.
His dad wasn't on drugs, but he was an alcoholic. Yeah. Maybe some of you can relate to that. I'm here to tell you that was me. I was that kid that put myself on the outside. I was that kid at 11 years old. I was very confused. I thought to myself, okay, if this is my reality today, what is my life going to look like? Am I going to be stuck here forever? Maybe some of you can relate to that, but I can promise you what I didn't think is that I would be on the outside looking in, and now I'm here. So just remember that your past does not have to equal your future. That is a choice. Be mindful of those choices you make. Thank you for your time today. I will see you, boys and girls, in 2 months. Talk soon.